education, including abandoned projects, acute shortage.
In fact, he's also a head teacher of Patrick's headmaster, St. Patrick's head.
Today, those of us who have passed the secondary school stage long ago still look back with pride in our schools. Isn't it? We do. Beautiful were those days and beautiful are what they have made us today. Some of the best teachers in our lives that we look back fondly to were ones we met at the secondary schools. Some, the everlasting bonds of friendship we hold on to today, were forged at secondary schools. The theme for this year's conference, ensuring comprehensive, equitable, and sustainable secondary education in Ghana, the role of stakeholders, is a product of reflection and is suitable for the days now and ahead. It invites us to reflect critically on the architecture of our educational system, to interrogate its foundation, and to reimagine its future. It calls us to move beyond rhetoric and into action, beyond policy and into practice. Let's begin with the idea of comprehensiveness. A truly comprehensive secondary education must embrace the full spectrum of human development. It must cultivate cognitive excellence, emotional intelligence, ethical reasoning, and civic responsibility. It must integrate science and art, theory and practice, tradition and innovation. Our schools must become laboratories of leadership, empathy and enterprise, space where learners are not merely taught, but inspired. In this regard, we must answer the question as to whether our curriculum are responsive to the needs of the modern day. Are our pedagogies inclusive of diverse learning styles and cultural contexts? Are we equipping our students to be not only employable, but adaptable, creative, and socially conscious? Comprehensiveness demands that we educate the whole person, not just for exams, but for life. Equity is not a statistical aspiration. It is a moral imperative. It requires that every Ghanaian child, regardless of geography, gender, ability, or socioeconomic background, has access to quality education. It compels us to confront disparities in infrastructure, teacher employment, digital access, and curriculum relevance. Equity means that the child in Kumburugu must have the same educational promise as the child in Cape Coast and in Sunyani. It means that the inclusion is not an afterthought, but a foundational principle whose doors are open for all. We must also recognize that equity is not only about access but also dignity. It is about ensuring that every learner feels seen, valued, and supported. It is about creating an environment where difference is not a deficit, but a source of strength. In this regard, I urge Charles and all stakeholders to champion inclusive policies, to advocate for marginalized voices, and to build schools that are truly welcoming to all. Sustainability, in turn, challenges us to think beyond the immediate. It asks whether our educational systems are resilient, adaptive, and future-proof. Are we preparing our students to thrive in a world of climate uncertainty, technological disruption, and shifting global dynamics? Are we cultivating environmental stewardship, digital literacy, and ethical leadership? Sustainability is not merely about endurance, it is about evolution. Are our investment in education yielding long-term dividends? Are our schools equipped to respond to the emerging challenges and opportunities? Are we building systems that can withstand shocks and evolve with changing times? Sustainability demands that we think intergenerationally, that we build today with tomorrow in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, these aspirations cannot be realized by government alone. They require the active participation of all stakeholders, educators, society, and the private sector. They require bold partnerships, honest dialogue, and shared accountability. The role of child in this ecosystem is both strategic and sacred. You are not just administrators, you are architects of possibility, custodians of potentials, and the stewards of transformation. At University of Energy and Natural Resources, we are committed to supporting secondary education through curriculum innovation, research-informed policy engagement. We believe that universities must not only receive students, they must also help shape the conditions under which students are formed. We stand ready to collaborate with CHARS and the Ghana Education Service to strengthen the pipeline of quality education from basic to tertiary levels. Permit me to highlight a few strategic imperatives that I believe deserve a collective action. We must ensure curriculum relevance, that what we teach aligns with the realities of our communities and the demands of the global economy. Our learners must be equipped to solve problems, not just pass exams. The quality of any education system is grounded in the competence and commitment of its teachers. We must invest in continuous professional development, mentorship, and motivation. In an increasingly digital world, access to technology is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. We must bridge the digital divide and ensure that every school is digitally enabled. Education must cultivate responsible citizens who are knowledgeable in Ghanaian values, respectful of diversity, and committed to nation building. We must strengthen our systems of monitoring and evaluation, ensuring that decisions are informed by evidence and that progress is measured with integrity. The siblings who sit beside you is the one who speaks of your welfare. CHARS, a collective of school leaders, is that sibling. You speak for the future of our children. You speak for the soul of our nation. May this conference be fruitful, visionary, and transformational. May it renew our shared commitment to building an educational system that is truly comprehensive, equitable, and sustainable. Thank you once again for the honor and the invitation.
This conference, out of their busy schedules, to join us here today. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, this gathering of distinguished education leaders and administrators is indeed a testament to the critical role that CHARS continues to play in shaping the education of secondary education in our country. For over 6 decades, CHARS has remained a formidable platform for dialogue, innovation, and collaboration in the quest for quality education delivery. Consequently, the chosen theme for this year's conference is, and I quote, ensuring comprehensive, equitable, and sustainable secondary education in Ghana, the role of stakeholders, unquote. is both timely and thought-provoking. It reflects the urgent need for a holistic approach to secondary education, one that promotes inclusion, quality, and long-term relevance in an ever-changing. It captures the very essence of our corrective mission to make education a transformative force for national development. As a government, we recognize that a well-educated population is the asset any country can possess. That is why we continue to invest heavily in the education sector, expanding infrastructure, enhancing teacher welfare, improving access, and integrating digital tools to modernize teaching and learning. However, beyond access, our shared responsibility is to ensure quality and sustainability. We must provide every Ghanaian child, regardless of their background, gender, or location, with the opportunity to benefit from comprehensive and inclusive secondary education system that prepares them not only for future studies, but also for meaningful participation in national development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, government remains committed to ensuring that our secondary education system meets the needs of the 21st century. Through policies, reviews, reforms in curriculum, teacher development, and digital education, we aim to expand access while improving quality and relevance. However, the sustainability of these interventions depends on our shared responsibility as stakeholders, government, children, teachers, parents, all students, and private sector. We must continue to strengthen our collaboration and accountability at all levels to ensure that our schools become centers of excellence and character formation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we deliberate over the coming days, I encourage you to share ideas, best practices, and innovative strategies that can help address the pressing challenges confronting secondary education, from infrastructure deficit and resource constraint to students' indiscipline and staff motivation. Let this conference serve as a beacon of renewed commitment to nurturing the next generation of Ghanaian leaders. Let me use this platform to assure of the commitment of the NDC government, led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to improving quality of secondary education in our beloved country, to overhaul human resource capacity needed for nation building and socio-economic development for both present and future. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nananom, to conclude, I wish to commend Charles for your consistent leadership, dedication, and partnership with government in the advancement of secondary education. May this conference be fruitful and inspiring, leading to practical outcomes that will enhance teaching, learning, and management in all our senior high schools. Once again, I warmly welcome you to Sunyani, the Bono regional capital, a region blessed with peace, culture, and hospitality. I wish you all a successful celebration and pleasant stay. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless us.
Of education here with us, colleagues, members of conference, my dear students, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I'm standing here as the Charles President. If you like, you can call me the prophet of Charles, because I am the mouthpiece of Charles. And I only say what my people have asked me to say. So whatever I'm going to tell you, Honorable Minister, Your Excellency the Chair, is the views and the sentiments of Charles, and not my own views. It is with immense joy and deep honor that I welcome you to the 63rd Annual Conference of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, Charles, here in Sunyani. We are so happy to be here. Your warm reception is already making our stay so comfortable. This conference is more than a tradition, Your Excellency the Chair. It is a reaffirmation of our collective commitment to shaping the future of education in Ghana, and a call to renew our vision, our energy, and dedication to the sacred task entrusted to us. Nurturing the next generation of Ghanaian leaders. The future in our hands. On behalf of conference, I am excited, particularly to welcome the Honorable Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu MP from Tamale South, and Professor Ernest Davis, Kofi Davis, the Director General of Ghana Education Service, both of whom are joining us for the first time in their official capacities. So, Honorable Minister, since this is your first time, you need to have a lot to learn from Charles. We give glory to the Almighty God for His divine providence, which has carried us through another year. Despite challenges that could have weakened our resolve, He has granted us life, good health, and the word to continue building a brighter future for Ghana through education. We acknowledge with appreciation the commitment of the government of Ghana to sustaining senior high school education, especially through the free senior high school policy. We know the immense financial strain that this bold policy entails. Yet government has remained resolute in ensuring that that education is accessible to every child, regardless of socio-economic background. This investment is one of the greatest legacies for future generations born. We look forward to a dedicated source of funding that will ensure regular and prompt release of money to schools and supplies of essential logistics to support teaching and learning in this free SHS policy. Your Excellency the Chair, we acknowledge with joy and gratitude the recent announcement to restore PTAs in all schools. PTAs have, over the years, been critical stakeholders in the value chain of education delivery. Indeed, but for the contributions of PTAs, many schools would not have survived. In our engagement with our school PTAs, we pledge to observe all the policy guidelines to ensure effective collaboration and management. In the course of our work, Your Excellency the Chair, Honorable Minister for Education, if we make mistakes, please take your time, investigate before you sanction. Nana in the chair, I cannot fail to recognize the tireless efforts of our National Executive members, NEC, and members of CHAS for their immense support, exceptional leadership, and patience, even in times of difficulties. In the face of financial and logistical challenges that threatened to derail our activities, members have demonstrated a high sense of endurance, sacrifice, and resilience to keep the schools stable. As I speak with you, we are suffocating. Financial suffocation. You may have seen, Honorable Minister, a letter from Charles to Prime Time circulating on social media that Charles has boycotted Science and Maths quiz. I want to tell you that that is not true. We have no boycott. We are saying that we don't have what it takes to travel from here, from Northern Region, from Upper West, from Upper East, from Volta, and from across the country to Cape Coast to take part in the competitions. Should you give us money now? We move now. If we see alerts in our accounts that money has reflected, we will ask the Science and Maths quiz coordinators to go to Cape Coast and take part of the competitions. That is what we are saying. Thank you. So if anybody says that Charles has boycotted Science and Maths quiz, we state for the records that is not true. We need money to move. Our theme for this year's conference, ensuring comprehensive, equitable, and sustainable secondary education in Ghana, the role of stakeholders, is very profound now because it resonates with what we stand for as conference, and taking some time off to reflect on such a theme will directly impact human capital development, social equity, and economic development in the country. Your Excellency the Chair, our schools continue to operate under serious financial pressure. Without adequate financial resources, you could appoint the best headmaster or headmistress, or you could have the best experienced headmaster, but that headmaster cannot afford because of lack of financial resources. The burden on school heads is becoming overwhelming. Recurrent funds remain in arrears since 2021, Honorable Minister, and this undermines smooth management of schools. It is increasingly becoming difficult for schools to buy stationery, just stationery, for administrative and academic purposes, including examinations. As we stand here, schools are having examinations, second semester examinations for Form 1 students and Form 2 students, and those who are moving to Form 3 and Form 2. Everything that we are using for the examination is bought, procured on credit. And this has been going on for a long time. It must stop now. We respectfully urge government to release these funds without any delay to the schools, including the arrears. They call it legacy debts, but it is for the government. Pay the money to us, we beg you. Similarly, arrears for both perishable and non-perishable food items must be cleared now, Honorable Minister. We were promised that the money will be given to us today. No, before the minister appears. But as you speak, have you seen any alerts in your accounts, members? Nana in the chair, that since 15th of June, no money has been sent to us to take care of our schools and to feed our students. How many months now? Almost 4 months. We cannot take it anymore. Your Excellency the Chair, the system that allowed schools to procure their own food between January and July 2025 worked efficiently and gave us the much needed stability. An initiative we would always be grateful to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana as a promise made and a promise delivered. It is sad to note we have reverted to the old arrangement of government agencies supplying food to the schools. It is the wish of CHAS that schools will be permitted to procure, if not all, at least the 6 staple grains that we agreed on. Any other arrangement, and I, the Chair, Honorable Minister, we will not resist, but we will respectfully tell you that that cannot hold. This will not only speed up food supply in the right quantity, but also support local farmers and strengthen rural economies in line with the President's intention. Nana in the Chair. Another matter of grave concern is the rising tide of student indiscipline. Recent incidents of students violently attacking teachers, carrying offensive weapons into schools, and indulging in abuse of dangerous substances such as red and marijuana are alarming. These acts undermine the authority of educators and threaten the safety of school communities. Already, serious injuries and deaths have been recorded in schools. We want to reiterate our call for adequate recruitment of trained security men for our senior high schools. It is important to note that now if you go to senior high schools in the country, when security men retire, they are not replaced. Our recommendation also is that a special unit under the Ghana Police Service should be established to handle school security. Similarly, CHAS is deeply worried about the level of staff indiscipline, especially staff members who engage in amorous relationship with students. CHAS condemns, in no uncertain terms, the recent reported cases involving staff members in KUST, SHS, and Okajaprom SHTS. These unfortunate incidents are in sharp contrast with what the profession upholds. It is our expectation that the GES management will invoke the appropriate sanctions as prescribed by the Code of Conduct for teachers and for staff without prejudice to any further legal action that may apply. We would like to assure parents and stakeholders of our resolve to ensuring safety and protection of all our students in our schools. Equally worrisome, Nana in the Chair, is the persistent menace of examination malpractice, which continue to cast a shadow over the credibility of our examinations in all levels, especially WASSCE and BC. This problem cannot be resolved or solved at the senior high school level alone. It must be tackled from the basic school level, where we need to instill in our students a culture of integrity and holistic learning, rather than an obsession with passing tests materials. It is our hope that a new curriculum will be rolled out fully to change the mode of assessment, which could also be a means of addressing the current challenge. We also request for serious sanctions when culprits are apprehended. Education, Your Excellency the Chair, cannot thrive in isolation. The destructive activities of illegal mining, Galamsey, have dire consequences for food security, water resources, public health, and education. If left unchecked, the impact will cripple future generations. We add our voice to calls for urgent and decisive action against this menace, particularly because of the involvement of school children and the invasion of school lands by illegal miners. It will interest you to note, in some areas where Galamsey is prevalent, when school reopens, students come to school after a month, at times after 2 months. And now in the chair, across many schools, a serious shortage of furniture remains a deep-seated problem. Classrooms, dining halls, assembly halls, and offices lack adequate seating, making effective teaching and learning extremely difficult. We call for immediate intervention in this area. It is instructive to note that many schools are running the transitional calendar just because of inadequate furniture. Furthermore, the continued use of prepaid electricity meters in senior high schools creates unnecessary disruptions in our schools' programs. Institutions that house thousands of students should not be subject to sudden blackouts because they are unable to buy enough credits. It is simply unfathomable, and if you like, incomprehensible, why the headmaster of a school should be burdened with the responsibility of pre-financing electricity consumption for academic purposes. We strongly recommend the replacement of all prepaid meters with postpaid meters in all school facilities in this country, especially where students are accommodated on our classrooms, auditoriums, dormitories, dining halls, libraries, labs, and what have you. Now in the chair, many schools are yet to receive the tablets. Even though the academic year has virtually ended, in some cases, schools receive the tablets without charging units. Without the charging units, students will start burning our dormitories, our classrooms, and all the facilities as they try to charge their tablets. If indeed the tablets contain all the learning materials for the new curriculum, then students in all schools are expected to receive theirs to facilitate teaching and learning in order not to disadvantage any group of students during their final national assessments. We will be happy if a consultative schools. It is important to draw your attention to the non-payment of intervention money since 2024. And now in the chair, if Honorable Minister needs more explanation about the intervention money, we are there to explain to him. For most of these issues, we've had extensive engagement with management, looking forward for favorable actions to address them. Charles received with excitement the promise of transitioning all schools to single-track calendar by the 2027-2028 academic year. We pledge our continued support to an engagement with the GS in ensuring smooth transition. Our expectation is that all schools will run a common calendar for effective planning of academic activities. We appreciate the cost involved in the provision of facilities to create more space for the over 300 schools to transition. We, however, hope that adequate funding will be released to execute this important policy decision. Now, Honourable Minister, please note this. We believe that if you have traditional schools all over the place, and when we send students there, they run away because the schools are not resourced, we believe that you rather invest in those schools, expand the schools, give them the resources before you build new schools. In doing this, equity must be respected. And I in the chair, I want to use this opportunity to bring to the fore an emerging issue about school admissions. The computerized school selection and placement system, CSSPS, has been running for 20 years now, since 2005. It, however, appears that many people in Ghana are either not familiar with the system or are refusing to understand the role school has played in the process. In recent years, when I am the Honourable Minister, school heads, particularly those in Category A schools, have always been subjected to threats, intimidation, and undue pressure from people we expect to know how the system operates. It will be important for the Ministry of Education, GS, and the Free SHS Secretariat to engage the public and educate them to understand the role of all the actors in the chain. For the avoidance of doubt, the public should know that headmasters, headmistresses do not create protocol slots in the schools. Neither are they allowed to admit students manually without permission like it used to be. The 5% protocol allocation is strictly for known stakeholders who support the schools in different ways, but not open for influential people and in privileged positions. It is unacceptable for innocent heads, poor headmasters, headmistresses to be harassed by powerful people just because the headmaster, headmistress is unable to honor their requests. We also appeal to the Honourable Minister to consider an upward adjustment of the 5% protocol slots to the schools. Honourable Minister, if you post or you place 70% of the students and give 30% to the schools, you will be a hero. Your Excellency, the Chair, in spite of these challenges, We have much to celebrate. Charles continues to serve as the united and respected voice of heads of senior high schools. Through dialogue, policy proposals, and resilience, we have influenced reforms that benefit both students and teachers. Our schools continue to produce students who excel in national examinations and international examinations and distinguish themselves globally in academia and other fields. This is a testimony to the dedication of heads and teachers in this country and the determination of our students. Together, we are shaping lives and securing Ghana's future. Charles, the future. Charles, the future in our hands. Indeed, the future is in our hands. Education is a shared responsibility. While government provides the backbone of policy and funding, other stakeholders must complement these efforts. Parents, the alumni of various schools, traditional authorities, religious bodies, corporate Ghana, and development partners must all play their roles. Whether through infrastructure support, mentorship, or reinforcing discipline, the partnership of all stakeholders is vital to the success of our schools. As we officially begin this third annual national conference, let us actively participate in all proceedings, my dear colleagues, share best practices in our schools, and learn from one another. We must innovate in our leadership and demonstrate integrity in school management and advocate relentlessly for the resources our schools require, as I'm doing now. Above all, we must model the values we seek to instill in our students' discipline and moral values. We are not just educators, we are custodians of Ghana's future. Every decision we make, each standard we uphold, impacts the direction of our nation. In conclusion, Your Excellency in the Chair, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the task before us is not easy, but it is sacred. To educate is to transform. To transform life is to secure the destiny of a nation. Our challenges may be many, but with collaboration, vision, and faith, we shall overcome. May this conference in Sunyani mark a turning point. May this conference bring the money we need every month to us. May this conference shape education in our schools. May this conference shape discipline in our schools. The moments when we resolve to strengthen our schools, uplift our teachers, inspire our students, and build a brighter tomorrow for Ghana. God bless Charles. God bless our schools, and God bless Ghana Education Service. Thank you very much.
Our very able chair for today's occasion, my uncle Nanakoko Sunyani Maine. I also recognize Brian Odiafo Brian Koko II. I hope I'm very right. Nana Adontin Poku, the president of Charles and our very host, Reverend Father Stephen Osu Setri. You know what I admire about the president of Charles? Polite, persuasive, but with strength of will. Then our proud host and Vice Chancellor, who just spoke to the team, Professor Asari Ediako. I want to thank you on behalf of my colleagues, the Honorable Millicent and the Honorable Mubarak of Sunyani West and its respectively. Director General of the Ghana Education Service, and then our Regional Minister, Adai Akobwa. In his words, he warmly welcomed us to the Bono region, and he said the region of peace, culture, and hospitality. So thank you for the hospitality so far that we have enjoyed. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, my colleagues who accompanied me from the Ministry of Education, Deputy Director General GES, proud executives of CHARS, and very distinguished esteemed members of CHARS. He will speak his mind, and he spoke his mind, but arguably for a good cause, to remind government and to wake up government to partner and work with CHARS to provide inclusive, equitable, quality, sustainable education. And in his speech, he raised a number of issues. So I'll take indulgence from you and respond to some of the issues raised by CHARS. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the issues he raised was electricity access to educational institutions under CHARS, and what it means when the electricity or lights go off, the burden shifts to the headmaster, who himself is already struggling with financial inadequacies and low releases. So if you saw me standing, I called my colleague, the Minister for Energy, and I'm happy to announce that from 1st January 2026, all child schools will be on post-paid meters. All child schools will be on post-paid meters. So my colleague, the Honorable Jinapo, asked me to convey to you that it is possible and that all child schools will be moved to post-paid in order that we will not continue to get the embarrassment of lights off, pressure in the schools. Nana Chair, the President of CHARS, on behalf of CHARS, also reminded government and me. In fact, I have requested that his full audio with recording, I'll remit it to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, unedited. And permit me again, it was the wish of President John Dramani Mahama that he personally would have been present here to be part of the 63rd conference, annual conference of the Conference of Heads of our State Secondary Schools, CHARS. Indeed, Reverend is my witness. The President was in New York, even before proceeding to New York, reached out to me to negotiate with him whether he could change the date beyond today so that Excellency John Dramani Mahama committed himself to be in Wo in the Volta region. But I'm sure the next Charles conference, President Mahama will be personally and physically present. He's also asked me on behalf of government to donate 200,000 Ghana cedis to support this conference. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and Nanano, I'm still attempting to respond to the President of Charles. In his submission, he spoke about fairness, especially when government, the GES, have to institute sanctions. And he politely said there must be investigations. President Chair of Charles, be assured, Reverend Stephen Owusu Secretary, that myself, I'm a consummate lawyer and I believe and practice the letter and spirit of natural justice. Therefore, at all times, Lawyer Kabua is here, I would uphold the true tenets of the Odi Oterem party. But distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when the Charles President was speaking, he emphasized indiscipline. But for some reason, he narrowed it to students. So I'm going to expand it to affect others. And then the President of Charles, rightly so, he was deeply concerned discipline. The word narrow withdrawn with apologies from me, teacher, not a student. And therefore, indiscipline is simply a betrayal of set standards or rules of conduct or rules of behavior. It is applicable to students, applicable to teachers, and indeed applicable to ministers. That's the value of transparency and accountability, but upholding the highest standard of discipline. There can be no compromise on that. The other day, President of Charles, Nana Chair, and I should recognize Thomas Musa of NAT and accept your challenge that the Ministry of Education and GES and GETFund will collaborate to undertake the training that you requested for. So into 2026,